I joined the NAACP as a 12-year-old. I was elected president of my youth council. And to 70 years later, to be honored with the highest award that they give to any citizen is a real honor that I cannot really put to words.
House Majority Whip James Clyburn, thank you so much for joining us. It's a special moment for you. Your life's work, not just being the most powerful Black man in Washington, but your life's work is being honored by the NAACP. Talk to me about that moment, this moment you're in.
Well, thank you very much for this. It's a very special moment for me. I joined the NAACP as a 12-year-old. I was elected president of my youth council. And to 70 years later, to be honored with the highest award that they give to any citizen is a real honor that I cannot really put to words. Having remembered the early days of the NAACP, where my mom's was very active, remembering when efforts were made, especially in the southern states, to try to break the backs of the NAACPs, watching my mom's raise money in her beauty shop to help defend her local branch, and her taking me to court with her, and according to her, so I could see firsthand what I could be when I grow up.
You are an activist who also served, well, an activist, I guess you would say, turned legislator, but you still have activism in your spirit, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. I take it to the floor with me every day. You know, I say to people all the time, I have never lost any of that spirit. Now, I've changed my style over the years. And I think that a lot of times people mistake good manners for weaknesses. I don't call people names. I try hard to maintain an atmosphere within which I can work with people on anything. And so I always believe that you're much better off trying to add to the relationships rather than doing the same things that will subtract from the relationship. So I am still as active and as much of an activist as I've ever been, but I will admit to being much more diplomatic today than I was as a teenager.
Let's talk about diplomacy in the midst of some troubled waters for Democrats. You are one of the major leaders for the Democratic Party, and this week I've been hearing from grassroots, people even at the White House, everybody recognizes there's a problem. Everyone. The White House is painfully aware that there's a problem. Grassroots are grumbling. Democrats are trying to change the message. Where is all this going to fall? Because we're in a very bad state, and Joe Biden's poll numbers, his approval ratings are at the lowest level for the last couple of presidents. He's below Donald Trump and Barack Obama on the economy and on some other issues.
So you look at things like inflation. That's not an American problem. That's a world problem. The inflation rate that we have in this country, over 7%, it is double that in many other countries around the globe. In European countries, it's 1.5 times that. So this is a problem brought on by this war that Putin has visited upon the world. So this is an issue that we have to deal with. Now, last week when gas prices were going up, everybody saying Joe Biden is at fault. This week, gas prices going down, plummeting down. The average cost $3.99 now, when it was up to $4.99 2 weeks ago. Does Joe Biden get credit for that? He opened up the reserves. He has been pushing programs to drive that price down. Why would we give him credit for that? Everybody talks about the glass being half empty. When we passed the American Rescue Act, we wiped $1.6 billion of debt away from HBCUs. So we have done things that nobody talks about. They keep talking about what we have not done. He's been president for a year and a half, and he's got a term for 4 years. Why would we expect for him to do the 4 years in a year and a half? It ain't over yet.
You say it's not over. Some people say even with the successes, there's still a problem. The messaging is off. People should know. You just said it yourself. People didn't know. So there's a problem in the messaging, but still people continue to say that this president is tone deaf. I want you to address the messaging issue because people don't know. If these are such great successes, people should not be saying they don't approve of him at this point. There's a messaging issue. Speak to that. And then also, could you speak to the fact that there were issues that he campaigned on, voting rights and policing, that didn't happen, and people are very upset about that. And the clock is turning back in the Supreme Court. The stakes are high right now. Can you speak to those issues?
I would say to anybody, tell me one thing that the president promised to do which we have not passed in the House of Representatives, where Democrats got a majority. Democrats do not have a majority in the Senate. We got 50 in the Senate, and Republicans got 50 in the Senate. That's not a majority. In the House, where we have a majority, we passed the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. We have passed an act just yesterday to get beyond Roe, to reverse what the Supreme Court has done on Roe v. Wade. You name it, and we have done it in the House. We just passed a bill to put a ceiling on the cost of insulin at $35 a month. We sent it over to the Senate. Already the Senate is saying they're not going to pass it. So you can't blame the Democrats. We are in control of the House, and we have passed every one of those things, but they have not passed the Senate. So what we got to do in November, go to the polls and let's elect a Senate that will give us the votes we need. So we can talk about what we haven't done, but all of us have got a role to play in this. We Democrats got a role to play here in the House, and the voters have got a role to play when it gets to the voting booths. So yes, it's not a messaging problem. It is a process problem that is giving us the difficulty we've got, because with a tie vote in the Senate, we can't get to the issues because we cannot get beyond the filibuster. If we could, these things would pass in the Senate as well.